So, there's this unofficial in-game player-made event, not declared official by the admins, named 420 to celebrate the increasingly more socially acceptable consumable item called by many names, but I will refer to it as pot. On this date, and preferably time, players will celebrate by using the pot item. Some players may choose to celebrate it, not knowing how this item affects their character. For those of you who do, or try it at any other time, I felt this would give you a good idea of how your character will behave. Obviously, the high status is what you aim to achieve when using the item, but how do you know if you're high? Even though effects vary a bit depending on the class of the consumable, the effects of the high status tend to usually be similar and is denoted with the numbers 1 through 10 inside brackets from least to most high. At 1, even some previous users will question whether or not they're high. When approaching level 5 and higher, you clearly know you've achieved the high status, and the more you level up comes all, more, or some of the following buffs or debuffs. Increased quality of background music, increased amount of red pixels in your character's eyes, increased amounts of internal dialogue, increased levels of creativity, increased usage of the laughing emote, increased levels of thirst, this is known as Cottonmouth, increased levels of hunger, this is known as the Munchies. Players will often choose to go to restaurants categorized as fast food to alleviate these issues. Dialogue involved with trading may be more difficult when high, so to help aid the process, some of you may want to hide the fact that you're high by equipping a sunglasses object, although this may seem odd when it's nighttime. Very prominently as well will be how in-game time moves slower. At level 6 to 7, if it hasn't already begun happening, your character will lock on and zoom in on objects in higher resolution. Increased appreciation of the content made by the devs and players tend to be common at these levels. Along with it will come increased pop-up prompts to interact with objects with the sitting function. Oftentimes this is where you'd want to stop leveling up further, as effects tend to disable some of the functions of your character. At level 8, you accept the sitting prompts if you haven't already done so on a preferably couch object, while the effects of the consumable over-encumber your character. This is known as couch lock. At level 9, your character becomes the couch object. And at level 10, while being a couch object, the screen goes black and you turn back into a human character. As a side note, you know you're at level 10 when you can no longer use the pot item because couches don't have the function to do so. Now, whether your screen goes black because you've become the couch, or you decide to do so at lower levels, you might wake up with a laggy character. While time is the best solution for this, you may speed up the recovery process by using consumables with the caffeine material in it. So with all that in mind, it's worth mentioning that the effects of the pot consumable will affect different characters differently, similar to the drug categorized consumable named alcohol. This is because characters have varying functions for using the THC code. Because of this, while many use it just for a good time, there are players who use it for productive reasons. Take for example how some players take advantage of the fact that scientist class characters have found ways to use it as a substitute for potion items, or how characters of the artist class will use it for the creativity buff. Finally, it's also worth mentioning that while the pot consumable isn't very harmful, you still need to use it responsibly like any other drug categorized item. If you would like more gameplay tips, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I upload every week. If you have your own gameplay advice, leave it in the comments.